Okay, we'll do the whole lick slowly. Move up a fifth. Do the same thing. Move up to another A. Up to another E. Fingering's different here. Come back down. You have to check the fingering on the chart for this one. Again, the only tricky thing is once you get onto the B string, sometimes you have to clump your fingers together to put one finger on each string. Okay, this next lick is one that illustrates a style that I find myself using a lot when I really want to push the time, kind of nail the time, and create a lot of rhythmic excitement. And sometimes you want to keep a repetitive kind of idea going that covers different chords. So you only need to change the notes that are different from one chord to another. So here we're talking about F sharp minor to D, and with an arpeggio, the only note we need to change is a C sharp to D. So there's a lot of common tones. By itself, it sounds just kind of like a weird collection of notes, but the reason we're doing the pattern this way is so that the high notes punch the most through most amplifiers and most mixes. Now we'll go to D and start with F sharp again. It's weird slow, I know. Some licks like this you just don't think of while you're playing it slow. The ideas can only come when you're playing fast, because then you see where it kicks the time. So, well, it's a little weird slow, but once you bring it up to speed, I think you'll find it works real good. 1, 2, 3, 4. The title like Power Lines, and my latest album being called High Tension Wires. I had to do something from the album, show an example, and there's a tune called Too Many Notes that fits the idea of arpeggiated licks perfectly, and this would be a good one to learn, or at least go through. It's got, the melody is arpeggios, and the melody is almost constantly 16-note triplets. It's got a few weird patterns in it that throw the time around, but it's constant 16th triplets. So the rhythm never changes. The accents do. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. too many notes. Kind of slow tempo. Remember, there's a pickup note, so you don't accent the downbeat till you get to it. Big jump. Again. Bend. Big jump. Then to A. Then a G. 2, 3, 4. Take the time, especially here. This next section has to do with chromatic possibilities. I was looking for the exact definition of chromatic because I think everybody knows it involves half steps of the musical scale. But to me, it kind of means more of the root word chroma. I don't know if it's really the root word, but this is, again, my opinion and my little way of thinking of it. Chroma having to do with color. And I think of the chromatic tones as being tones that add color to a scale. What we'll do to illustrate this is take a real simple scale. I think everybody knows this, just the minor pentatonic. And just introduce a couple chromatic tones, just to show you how different it can make it. So what we'll do is we'll jam on a kind of a blues feel for a minute and show you just some simple ways, and just in one position, to insert some chromatic notes, to add a little color to the blues. There's a lot of other ways to play a pentatonic scale, and I'll show you one of them right now. Now, what's so weird about that, Steve? Well, I'll show you. What we're doing is every opportunity on the guitar that we have to repeat a note, the same note on a different string, we're taking. And it involves a little bit of stretching, but it provides a really neat effect. clean tone for this demonstration. So we're going tonic, third, fourth, then doubling that because, well, just because we can. Playing the same note twice again on the D string. The effect is that you get a lot more notes without quite as much movement. And when you play the same note on, well, twice, one on one string and one on the adjacent string, it gets a slightly different sound, and it kind of confuses the ear and makes you think something weird is happening. Well, in fact, something weird is happening. It's a weird scale. Slowly, if we're going to do it. There's some stretches involved, so check with your physician first. Here's just a different fingering coming down, starting on E. I'm adding an extra note just so it'll end, in a pretty normal amount of time, so it feels like a definite phrase to me. Because once you speed it up, you got to make music out of it. And whenever you practice scales or variations on scales, it's nice to make it into a phrase and feel it as a phrase so that it's easier to transfer it into music. All these ideas, learn them as licks and learn how to play them, because I promise you they'll help your technique and give you some new ideas. But with your new ideas, try to find ways to put them into phrases and into music. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about polyphonic ideas, polyphonic lines. Basically, to me, poly means many and phonic means sound. So in this case, we're going to go for two sounds at one time. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be always two sounds at one time, but just the suggestion of them. Like imagine a juggler. You've seen the juggler sometimes juggle two balls with one hand. Well, obviously, they never have two balls in their hand at the same time, but there's always one up in the air. And that's kind of one way to achieve a polyphonic effect with the guitar, especially when you're using a pick, when you can only hit one note at a time, is you do a little bit on this line and jump back down to this line and go back, keep changing back and forth, and keep both lines happening. But like I said, technically you're only hitting one note at a time, but you're getting the effect of two things happening. To illustrate this, I'm going to start with a simple little tune that's pretty melodic. Now, I know we're talking about power lines and everything, but this is just to illustrate the point and give you an appreciation for the different fingerings you have to do sometimes to achieve the effect of one note ringing over another. Okay, I'll play this for you slow. Keep repeating that. That's from a Dregs album, by the way. A pretty long time ago we recorded that. But the idea is that you always are playing just one note at a time, but you keep the note ringing. it up now, the effect of the two voices is a little bit more obvious. What you got is the top note is acting like the melody, and all the bottom notes, even though you're hitting them at odd times, they're giving you the accompaniment, the chord background for it. And check out the chart on that, and don't be afraid to rewind and learn that little piece. It's, like I said, it's good because it puts your hand in different fingerings than you would normally do in order to keep the notes ringing and so forth. This next example is simply the idea of playing a scale polyphonically. Again, I don't know if this is exactly a lick that you would want to use all the time in your soloing, but I'm doing this to suggest other ideas for you, creative ideas. We're going to play a E minor scale. The only difference is we're going to add some notes beneath it. So the idea is to keep hearing that. Now let's do it slow. Third finger on the B, first on the E. Now we're going to play the same fret as we're using with the third finger to hit the F sharp, but since we want to keep the B ring, we need a separate finger to do that, and I think the second finger is the best choice. So second finger on F sharp and fourth is the only one we got left for the G, so that works out real good. Now bridge the first and second strings with your first finger, but only play the top string. And with your second finger, play the D. Your first finger is already on the E, hit that. Bring your second finger around for the F sharp, and then play the G with your third finger. Now you're saying, wait a minute, Steve, why aren't I using my third and fourth finger for these notes? That's because of the part that comes next. Remember, we want to hold the top note. And this G is the next top note of the next sequence. So the G with your third finger, and we want that to ring through all this. So the C below it with your first, D with your second, and E with your fourth. Review what we got so far. Now another bridge. We're bridging the second, third fingers. Correction, second, third strings with our first finger. And it's pretty straightforward. It's just like a B minor chord. B, C, D. Now, E is the next top note, and it'll be like an A minor position, so we hit it. E with the third finger, A with the first, B with the second, C. Next, another bridge with your finger going between the third and fourth string. Start on the D on the G string. And just walk up. We're setting ourselves up to hit the next note with a third finger, again for reasons that have to do with the next lick. We're not going to use our fourth finger on this lick. Now, third finger on C. Now we're going to scrunch up our fingers here in order to get separate notes. We're holding the C, so let's play the F sharp with 1, the G with 2, and the A with 4. These two. Now slide everything down, slide your third finger down to E. E, F sharp to G. So the pattern's starting to become a little obvious. One more with the bridge across the fifth and fourth string. Start with the A, play the D with your third, use the bridge finger to play the E, and second finger to play the F sharp. Again, this is to set your third finger up for the next lick, which is a G.